So based on the topic given to me, I would be discussing about effective writing, and then the components of writing, attributes of a good writing, and then the very focal point would be citation, and I will be discussing some or three of the most commonly used citation styles. Okay, so let me start with a quote from Joseph Heller. He said, "Every writer I know has trouble writing." So I think we could relate with this. We are all writers, evaluators, or even editors, and we do have struggle. We're not perfect in a particular field, especially in writing. So I, for one, I have struggle in terms of how to start my composition and how to end my composition. So that will always be my struggle. So affirming the words of Joseph Heller that every writer has trouble writing. Okay. Now today we focus on the first is the writing components. Uh, so we have I listed here four writing components. The first, content, and then organization, mechanics, and of course ethical considerations. So if I were to assign points for for each component, and they're actually make up the whole composition, I would be giving content 40%, and then organization 30%, and mechanics and ethical consideration 30%. Okay, so when we talk about content, this is the very meat of the matter. This is the very substance, or the very idea, the very information you're sharing to your audience, to your readers. And organization, the way we logically organize our ideas in a composition, whether you're writing a research paper, whether you're writing a module or article or the like. And then the mechanics would call for technicalities in terms of grammar, in terms of spelling, capitalization, uh, punctuations, proper use of punctuations. And I think ethical considerations could also be under mechanics, okay? Because we talk about here the uh, maybe citation, which is giving credit to whom credit is due, and attribution. We attribute our information to the right source. Sometimes writers have a lot of content because they are well read and well traveled, but sometimes they have hard time organizing this content. So they have a lot of schemata, they have a lot of knowledge in their head. But sometimes the problem is how to put them into writing. And that's the concern of organization. So basically we have organizational patterns which you could actually utilize, like inductive, deductive, and then the combination of inductive, deductive, deductive, inductive, and then the hinted method of organizing ideas. Mechanics talks about the technicalities of writing. So we have to be very particular with our spelling. We have to be very particular with our grammar, with our syntax, capitalization, and that, and the like, of course. And as I said, ethical consideration could be something that would be giving credit to whom credit is due, and that is the citation. Okay, and attributes of a good writing. So I said, whether you're dealing with research paper, you're dealing with any article, you're dealing with module. So you make sure you have this checklist, okay, to make your uh, writing a good one. So the first is you make sure that your process is systematic, and then it's analytical, it's empirical, it's controlled, and of course, it's valid and verifiable. So of course, we're all professionals and we're all writers, so I'm sure it's a dead giveaway to, and I hope it's not an insult to your intelligence that I would be discussing all of these in details. So when we say systematic, we are actually following the procedures, the right procedures in writing, because you can never understand the concept of number two unless you understand the concept of number one. So systematic is following protocols, following the procedures of the right process. Okay. and it's actually one of the most important attributes of a good writing. And then a writing must be, or an article, a write-up must be analytical, which means that it must become a springboard for a wider and deeper study. So if you're writing, if the output, your writing output is something to be kept and something to be preserved for future references, then it's analytical. If it becomes a springboard for a deeper and wider study of the same topic, you're able to influence, you're able to engage your readers to do the same and to research the same topic, then the thing, the module, the research paper that you have made is actually analytical. If it's something that you submitted and it was thrown, it was dropped like a hot potato, or it was used as scratch, then you realize that your research or your writing is not actually analytical. When we say empirical, well, of course, this is the practical or the pragmatic side of writing, wherein you are the first, as a writer, you're supposed to be the first to benefit from it. Okay, it's quite difficult to do things that you won't benefit from. Okay, it's a struggle. So you make sure that when you write, when you do any endeavor, I think, for that matter, you have to make sure that you're the first to benefit from it. And of course, when we say empirical, it must be based on life experiences. Like, it must be based on, reality. Okay, when we say empirical data or empirical writing. When we say controlled, an output, a writing output must be you as a writer, you as a researcher, you should know how to identify your variables. So what are the variables that you're supposed to deal with, whether you're dealing with independent variables or dependent variables? You know how to identify them, you know how to manipulate them, and you know how to put them into proper place and in proper writing. Okay. And the last one is valid and verifiable. A good writing must be valid. We need to say it must be based on truth. Okay, it must be systematic. So you go back to the four attributes: so systematic, analytical, empirical, controlled, for it to be valid. And also, when you say it's valid, it's supposed to be supported by solid and systematic arguments. Okay, uh, based on your comprehensive research. Okay, so in research specifically, when we say the data or the information is valid, it comes from a very reliable source. So it's not questionable because it comes from a very reliable source. When we say verifiable, well, this talks about the second source, because in writing we have the primary and the secondary source. So when we say primary source, the data comes from the first hand, or the actual source, while the second source comes from literature, comes from articles. Okay, so when we say verifiable, the researcher has to do a lot of researching. Okay, for the readers to, when there's some discrepancies, or when there's some confusions maybe, or verifications or modifications, they could go back to the references. Okay, so verifiable means the researchers have explored a lot of references. That's why when we write, especially in research, in chapter 2, the more references we have, the better the research. Okay, I understand that. I don't know if it's still applicable now. When you go to UP, when you're studying UP, they require you to have at least 100 plus references only for your chapter 2. UST, I think 75, and so far Adamson is requiring 50 references, because a writing, for it to be good, for it to be substantial, it must be verifiable. Meaning to say, the foundation must be established and solid.
Sir,
And
excuse po.
yes,
For the next slide po, if okey lang po ba if naka-full screen po siya?
okay.
Naka,
Why it's not visible?
ah, ano po siya, editable mode po siya. So, paki-full
Okay,
screen po.
thank
Ayan
you.
po,
I'm not a techie
'yan.
person eh.
Okey po. Yan, I think
Okay, thank you for your
naglo-loading
help.
siya. Yan po, okay na po. Thank you po, sir.
Okay na. Okay, so a part of the attribute which is valid and verifiable is we cannot uh, deny the fact that citation is actually indispensable in this regard. So verifiable when we explore references, okay, when we explore books, magazines, and encyclopedia and all sources to be used in our own writing. So it's just proper and right to do citation. Okay, so citation is actually giving credit to whom credit is due. Okay, so for you not to commit plagiarism, which is an intellectual dishonesty, which is an academic dishonesty, then you have to be very particular with your citation. Okay, and it's under what we call the ethical consideration of research because this is professionalism. Because the moment you plagiarize, this is punishable by law, especially if it's patented and if it's already printed. Okay, so you could be sued if you copied a particular information, a particular study, and you did not cite. Okay, you're not prohibited to copy. Okay, in fact, one copy from another. In fact, according to Senator Soto, the Philippine Constitution was copied after the American Constitution. So it means it's actually a common knowledge that we copy ideas, but of course we should know the process. So we give credit to whom credit is due. Okay, you don't claim the idea to be yours, where in fact it's not yours. Okay, that's an intellectual or academic dishonesty. What are the aims of citation? So this is just an affirmation of what I've said already. So it's intellectual honesty, academic honesty, professionalism, and aside from that, this is our way of assessing or evaluating the validity and strength of a particular source. Okay, so in the process of citation, you sometimes you find out that, well, this particular idea is not that solid and strong and systematic, so I need to change it. So in doing so, in the process of doing citation, you realize that you also rather assess and evaluate the validity and strength of the source. I apologize for the sound because merong mga chismosang kapitbahay ako dito, so bear with me. And then, of course, the third is attribution, the one I said a while ago. You try to attribute the source to rather the information, the data to the right source. And that is connected to intellectual honesty. And this is also your way of telling your audience, you're telling your readers that you have done your part. Okay, you have done your research. Okay, because it shows the amount of research done. So if you have a lot of references, if you have a lot of in-text citation in your write-up, in your article, in your module, then it's a proof. It's an attestation. Okay, it's an affirmation that you have done your job and you have done research well. And of course, this is avoiding plagiarism. To avoid plagiarism, you have to cite. Okay, because plagiarism is an intellectual dishonesty. What are the methods of citation? Okay, so this is not just copying and copying and copying, copying and pasting and copying and pasting. We have to undergo the process and we have to be particular and we have to apply this religiously and correctly and accurately. So at times we quote, so uh, giving that you have already the resources, you have already the sources rather, and the books in front of you. So what are you supposed to do with it? Of course, the first thing that you have to do is to read. Okay, it's not all into a cliche. Is a cliche. Not all readers are writers, but all writers are readers. Okay, so if you start to write and you don't read, there's a problem in between. There's a problem in the process. Okay, because a good writer is also a good reader. A prolific writer is actually a voracious reader. So what are you supposed to do? You read. Okay, now in the process of reading, okay, if you stumble upon a particular idea that you like and you want to apply it in your paper or in the module, So you may do the following methods. So first, you may quote or you may copy verbatim, you may summarize, you may paraphrase, or you may generalize. So there are four things. So when do we quote? Of course, we know how to quote. We left the sentence or the paragraph verbatim because when do we do it? When do we quote? Okay, we quote because we find the reference, we find the idea to be elegant, powerful, or memorable language or passage. So you like the way it's written, you like the way it's actually composed. Okay, so well, you're allowed to quote. Okay, you're allowed to lift it verbatim. Okay, from the first letter to the last letter of a sentence or even a paragraph. Okay, we also apply coding when we encounter a frozen language register. So these are compositions that you're not allowed to paraphrase or summarize because of the nature of the write up. For example, the Constitution. I think you're not allowed to paraphrase or to summarize Constitution unless you are a lawyer. Okay, you're not supposed to summarize the lupang hinirang. Uh, am I correct? The lupang hinirang or the provisions of the law or the preamble. So I think you're not allowed to paraphrase or summarize it because you're not in the position to do so. There might be some distortion in the process if you do so. So for frozen language register, you may copy it. You may copy it verbatim. You may quote it. Okay, you may lift it word for word or word by word. And the number three, when you want to confirm the credibility of argument by the support of an authority. So you want a particular prominent and celebrated person in this particular field to support your argument, to support your idea. So you're allowed to do that, okay? Because it strengthens your idea, it strengthens your argument, okay, in the process. So you may allow like MDS or Miriam Defensor Santiago's statements. These are very solid and systematic statements. So if you're talking about lawmaking, for example, or anything to that effect, so you may quote MDS because MDS would add the ornament to your argument or to your diction. Okay, as they say. Um, Arguing with someone's position in considerable detail, meaning if you have stumbled upon a statement that in your case, in your own stand, it's actually opposite, and you want to rebut it, you want to argue about it, so you may copy it and then explain. But in the process of doing that, you may use what we call the quotation sandwich. So what do you mean by quotation sandwich? So in psychology or even in language, we have this what we call sandwich psychology approach. So it has three parts: the affirmation, the issue, and then the solution. Okay, so try to imagine a sandwich. The sandwich has three parts. So we have the bun, and then the sandwich, the filling, the one being sandwich, and then there's another bun. Okay, so the very issue is in the middle, covered by the affirmation, which is complement. Okay, and supported again in the base by solution or by suggestion. Okay. Now in coding, we do the same. Okay, take this for example. So acknowledging MD as a great woman. Well, of course, all of you could relate with me. The recently concluded Miss Universe Philippines, and Mateo 2020 notes that. So this is verbatim. I copy this word for word. Okay. If I'm given a chance to create a paper currency with the image of any Filipino on it, I'll use the face of Miriam Defensor Santiago, for she used her knowledge, her voice to serve the country and put her heart, her passion into action. End of the quote. Okay? And then you try to continue by saying, by explaining it. Mateo's point is that MDS really deserves to be given such lasting and permanent accolade because of her unconditional love and commitment to serve her country and people. So meaning to say, when you quote, when you want to lift verbatim a particular information or data, you have to put it in a sandwich package. So sandwich quotation, okay, for it not to be abrupt, for the ideas not to be abrupt in transmitting it to your readers or to your audience. Of course, most of us would summarize. Okay, after you read, you summarize. So this is applicable maybe technically for long compositions. So basically, or technically, when we summarize, we get one third of the real length of the composition. For example, the composition is 3 pages, so you're allowed to have 1 page as a summary or even less. Okay, so in summarizing ideas and summarizing information, you get the overview of the source, the gist of the information. Okay, and this is not just copying the same words from the composition. This has to be your own word. Okay, so get the overview of a source and the key essence of the ideas conveyed. Of course, there are times that you need to consolidate views because it's too many, and of course, you have to include relevant examples of argument to make your arguments and to make the presentation of your ideas more substantial, uh, and appealing, readable. So summary is the second. You may do it. Okay. Then we have paraphrasing. Okay. What is paraphrasing? This is simply simplifying ideas or simplifying concepts for it to be understood by everyone, regardless maybe of their field of specialization. Because sometimes the data or the information might be very technical in nature, and so your job as a writer is to rather to simplify or maybe modify the information, especially if the information is in graph, is in table or figures. So to make it, to modify and to simplify it, you paraphrase it. Okay, you have to think that how would my audience or my readers understand this? So how would I do it to for them to understand better? So that's the time you paraphrase. Okay, and of course in paraphrasing you also do what we call the citation, which will be discussed later on. Okay, example this one: two heads are better than one. So we are familiar with this. They're common knowledge. Two heads are better than one. Well, not all of us would understand what this means because this is actually an idiomatic expression or maybe figures of speech. So these compositions need to be paraphrased, need to be modified and simplified for some audience, for some readers. So I say two heads are better than one. Sometimes they would take it as a offensive offensive statement. Okay, for those people who are malicious. So especially if you present this to students, they would laugh. Okay, because they have another thing in mind. So we say two heads are better than one. It's more of a biblical principle. This is actually partnership. Okay, so two heads are better than one. Things are done easier and faster when more heads and more hands are actually involved in doing it. Look at this one: birds with the same feathers flock together. So some may not understand it, so you need to paraphrase to them, especially to the children, that those people who eat the same food, go to the same place, speak the same language, and enjoy the same thing, they most likely to click, okay, as friends, as comrades. So birds with the same feathers flock together. This one: success has many fathers while failure is an orphan. Well, when I present this to students, I have never gotten uh, a substantial answer in terms of their simplification of the idea. Um, but this one: success has many fathers, while failure is an orphan. It means that when you're successful, a lot of people will claim it with you. When you fail, no one will claim it with you. Okay, so uh, when we use these statements or quotations or idiomatic expressions or figures of speech, we should know how to paraphrase, especially when we use them in the module. Okay, depending on the level, so we have to explain it to them because not all of them would relate and understand. So that's the wonder and that's the idea of paraphrasing. And then we also, in the process of reading, we may also uh, and composing, when we're faced with a lot of conclusions or a lot of findings, and you want a common denominator of those findings, you're allowed to do that as well. Okay, so generalizing, describing shared conclusions of various authors. This is what we do in qualitative research, especially when we conduct interview. So, for example, we conduct interview to 5 people, and then they have the same question, and so we have to create a theme out of their answers. So we are generalizing. Okay, so meaning we get the common denominator of their answers and make it as a what? Make it as the idea that have to include in your write up or composition. Okay. Now, today, Dr. Lucky actually suggested 3 citation styles or referencing styles. So we have the CMS, or the Chicago Manual of Style, and then we have the American Psychological Association, and then the MLA, which is the Modern Language Association. Okay, but I understand that most of us would be using APA, or would prefer to use APA, the American Psychological Association. So let me discuss, or let me have a glimpse of what they are and how they can be used in your citation, in text citation and reference page. So let's start off with the CMS, or the Chicago Manual of Style. So this involves footnoting and endnoting. Footnote and endnote. Okay. Why are we supposed to use the CMS? Because the Chicago Manual of Style is popular in historical research. Okay, because it does not focus more on publication information, but it focuses more on the evidence. Okay, the evidence. That's why if you want to focus on the evidence of what you're writing or what you're discussing, you use the citation CMS, or the Chicago uh, method, the term manual of style. Sorry, Chicago Manual of Styles. Okay, um, and then it could be consulted if someone wants to track down the source for further research. Uh, one of the features of CMS is you have the option to have the bibliography page or not at all. Okay, that's why it's actually uh, one of the reasons why you put bibliography in CMS when you're using CMS is that you include further readings. Okay, because usually when we put references, when we put works cited, and when we deal with the bibliography, we only focus on the references that we have actually used in making the whole research, making the whole composition, module, book, etc. But when in CMS, you may include additional reading. Okay, that's why if you decide to use CMS, you should have the bibliography, because bibliography includes additional readings, uh, references that you have actually not used in formulation of the whole research. And then Chicago style is more flexible than MLA and APA. In fact, in its 15th edition, the CMS is allowing already in-text citation, just like MLA and APA style. So in-text citation, not although the footnoting and endnoting are still applicable. Okay, it becomes optional. So when we talk about footnoting, so exactly what this is. Footnotes are numbered consecutively throughout the research paper, not restarting number on each page. So if you have quoted, for example, if you have lifted 5 quotations in that particular page, you have to number them using a superscript. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the bottom of the page, you should number also the notes. They call it the notes. So each equation, I rather quotation, requires a footnote. And then footnotes are always double spaced. Remember that. It's very technical. And footnotes are referenced using a superscript number. So in when we talk about CMS, we have 3 components. The first, in-text identifier. We have the notes and we have the bibliography. Although I said bibliography is optional in CMS, especially if your notes are complete notes. Okay, so it's in text identifier. So if you've noticed here, there's number two, a superscript number two, which means that this is your second code. Okay, so a variety of research suggests that blah blah blah, and then this is copied verbatim. That's why it's enclosed in quotation marks. Then after that, you put superscript number one or number two. In this case, it's number two. Okay, so this is in the text. Each footnote must have the corresponding, each superscript rather, must have the corresponding footnote at the bottom of the page. So this is it. So there are two notes. The first one is short notes. So let's say this is the copied statement. So a variety of research suggests uh, basic literacy skills in early childhood can contribute to greater success in acquiring strong comprehension skills later in school. This is lifted uh, from a source. Okay, so this is actually a fictitious um, idea, and of course the also this one the footnote. So number two, then you put at the foot also number two. Okay, which means that this idea came from DAPAT. This is the family name, and then comma, and then comprehension skills. You don't have to copy the whole title of the article. You have to get only the keywords, okay, because it's short note, comprehension skills, and then you put page, the page number. So we call it short notes, okay? So when we want to have the full notes, okay, so of course it's supposed to be complete publication information at the foot of the page. So the same statement was copied, okay, and it's also number two, same example, but this time I'm using full notes. uh, Book, for example, the source, the book. So I put number two here, and then remember the sequence and the way it's written. So Rizal first name, and then Rizal first name, Dapat is the last name, comma, and then the importance of comprehension skills. This time it's a complete title of the article. Okay, in uh, italics. It must be italicized. And then here's the complete publication information. Here's Manila is the place of the publication, the city of the publication, then colon, and then the publisher, and then the date of the publication, the year of the publication, and then the page number. So we call it footnotes. Now, if your page has a lot of citations, for example, the one page has 10, already 10 superscripts, uh, you have the option to not include not include the footnote, but you put it in the end note, the same format, but you put it in a separate page because chances are they may not be occupied, accommodated in this particular page. So if you have a lot of citation in the footnote, rather, yeah, in the text. Okay, so you may opt to put another page, and you entitle it as a footnote, end note, to list all the notes that you have actually used. Okay, if you're writing, for example, a research paper, so chapter one, after chapter one, the last page of chapter one could be end notes, meaning to say the list of references you have used for that chapter one. Okay, and when you go to another page, you don't start from number one. It's subsequent, so meaning one, two, three, four, five, up to the end of the page, up to the end of your paper. So that's for CMS. Okay, for news magazine, of course, you do this. I rather wait. In the format of the footnote must be indented, okay, because it must go with the body, which is also indented. So it must be indented, not hanging indentation, but you try to apply the indentation. Okay. uh what if you're from, oh, it's from the magazine, news magazine, so it's same. uh you put the superscript here, corresponding, and then the first name, last name, and then comma, and then close in quotation mark the title of the article, and then italicize the name of the magazine or newspaper, and then the date must be written like this: the day, the month, and then the year, and then comma, and then you put the page number. That's for news magazine. Okay. From the website, of course, the same. Uh, First name, last name, comma, and then the importance of comprehension, which is the name of the what do you call this? The title of the article, and then the complete publication information, uh, and then the URL or the database. Okay, so you copy the URL or the database of the source from the website, because most of us would actually refer to websites for our references. For the bibliography entry, if you decide the bibliography entries for the CMS, this is the format. Okay, so for one author, so if you recall, the footnote, first name first. Okay, in the bibliography entry, last name first. Okay, so last name, and then notice the format. It's hanging indentation, meaning to say the second line is indented. The first line is indented. The second and fourth line are indented. Okay? So, dapat Rizal, period. Put period, not comma. And then the importance of comprehension, this is the name of the article. Italicize it. Uh, and then the complete information, publication information, Manila University Press 2016. This is for one author. For two authors, this is the format. So the first author must be uh, last name first, or the family name first, dapat, comma, Rizal. And the second author, the first name first, Daniel Santos. And you put period, and the same, the title of the article, and then the complete publication information and the date of the publication. So that's for bibliography entries when we use and when we utilize the CMS. Okay, same for journal article, the same. So uh, use the hanging indentation, and then the family name, the first name, period, and then close in parentheses the title of the article, and then history of religion is actually the uh, what is this? The title of the book. Okay, I rather are the journal, the title of the journal, and the page number, and then the maybe the edition or the volume, and then the date of the publication, the year of the publication, and the pages. Okay, so here's uh, the format when you try to use the journal article. For magazine, same, family name, comma, first name, period, and then the prophet of dystopia. This is the title of the article, close in quotation mark, and then New Yorker is actually uh, the name of the magazine, the title of the magazine. It's italics, and then the date of the publication. Okay, wait, I have to adjust. How to adjust this? Because I'm. Are you still there? Kindly respond. Are you still there, guys? Do you still listen to me?
Yes po, sir. Yes po, yes po.
Thank you.
Naka-disable lang po kasi yung unmute po nila para
Okay.
kayo lang po yung ano.
Okay. I thought I'm all alone here. Okay. So where am I? So for database for website, so we have the the name of the name of the person again, the family name, the first name period, and then the title of the article, and then the uh, enclosed in quotation marks, and then the name of the review, okay, and then the page number, and then the volume, the date of the publication, the year of the publication, and the page number, and of course the URL. Okay, so that's for CMS. Now the second to the last is actually Modern Language Association, or the uh, MLA. Specifically, this type of citation is best for researches or write-ups or compositions related to language and literature, simply because it highlights the family name of the author and the the page number where you got that particular information. Okay, this is actually best used in English studies, language literature, foreign languages literature, when you're doing literary criticism, comparative literature, and cultural studies. Simply because these types of these types of compositions don't actually require the most recent references. That's why when we use MLA, it focuses on the page number, not really on the date of the publication. Okay, unlike the APA. Okay. Now, the purpose of in-text citation, of course, let me just reiterate that research credibility. Okay, so if you have a lot of references, if you have a lot of in-text citations there, it means that you've done your part, you've done your research well, and of course, verification for the on the part of the readers. They want to verify if what you're saying there is really true and it's really existing. Okay, it has to be verifiable, making sure that the resources, or rather the sources, are existing, not actually made up by the researcher. Okay. Uh, well, what are we supposed to include in the in-text citation? So of course we have the facts that are not considered to be common knowledge, because some there are ideas or knowledge that are considered to be common. So I think you don't need to cite, because it's a common knowledge anyway. Uh, Statistics and percentages, you have to, especially if it's a part of the findings of a particular researcher, a particular writer. And of course, quotation, when you want to copy another person's ideas and direct quotes from another person. We have this in-text citation for MLA. Okay, so I said it focuses, it highlights the family name of the author, and then the page number. So these are ways to do in-text citation using MLA, or the Modern Language Association. So Wordsworth is actually the author. So Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It's from page 263. Okay, so this is an in-text citation. So when you do this, you're not guilty of plagiarism anymore, because there's a mention of the writer's the writer's family name and the page number. You may also do this particular format. So romantic poetry is characterized by the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings from Wordsworth 263. Okay, so remember, the period is after the citation, because I see a lot of citation that the period is after the statement or before the citation. Whether you're using MLA or APA, the period is always after the citation. Okay, especially students, they always commit mistakes in this regard. They put period before the citation. You may also do this the same. Okay, so this, I think this is more of um, summary. As word words or paraphrase extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process, and then the page number where you got the source. This is for in-text citation, MLA style. Uh, for direct quote, when we use MLA, so look at this one. Mother-infant attachment has been a leading topic of developmental research since John Bowlby found that children raised in an institution were deficient in emotional and personality development. So it's from Hunt 358, and then period. So again, when you use direct quotation, you make sure you're using the sandwich quote. Okay. So this is a dead giveaway since mothers are a big factor in emotional and personality development of a child. We call it sandwich code, okay? Because the lifted one is in the middle. Okay, let's go to paraphrasing. So we paraphrase, of course, we modify and we simplify the idea. So uh, let me read. Attachment is one specific aspect of the relationship between a child and a parent, with its purpose being to make a child safe, secure, and protected. So this is already a paraphrase from Hunt 65. So Hunt is the family name of the author, and 65 is the page number where you got it. And of course, the complete publication information appears at the last, which is the works cited. What if there's no page number? Okay, so just say attachment is one specific aspect of the relationship between the child and the parent, with its purpose being to make a child safe, secure, and protected. Just put the author, the family name of the author, just to make sure that you're not claiming the idea to be yours. So there's hunt there, meaning to say there's no available page. Okay. Now, what if there's no author and also there's no page? Okay. So you may get one word, or maybe from the title you get keywords and then put it here. Okay, after the citation. I rather after the copied statement. So in this case, I use attachment. It's a keyword in the idea. So attachment. So it's already attested. It's already affirmed that this is not the idea of the writer, but it's copied from other source. What if it's quoted in another source, a work quoted in another source? Okay, so simply you just have to indicate this one. This is quoted in Dua 188. So for example, Dua copied it also from another source, but you found another, the latest. So you have to mention the latest rather than the old one. Okay, but put quoted in Dua 188. Okay, the name, this one. Okay. Okay, so after in-text citation, where you only highlight the family name of the writer and the page number, it's now time for you to formulate your works cited. For when we use MLA, the last page would always be the works cited, meaning the list of references you have used for the whole composition, for the whole research, for the whole book, for the whole module. Okay, so these are some basic rules that you have to be particular with and you have to observe properly. Okay, first, the date of the access for the outline online sources is needed, especially when the date of publication is unavailable. So take note, okay? So if the date of the publication is unavailable, you ought to include the date of access. When you copy the URL, okay, in formulating works cited, you delete this one, the HTTP, and then colon, then slash slash. You delete this from URL, okay? Uh, Always end your entries with a period, okay? Because when we talk about MLA and APA entries, major entries are actually separated by period, and also they end with period. Capitalize each word in its title of articles and books. Expect prepositions except preposition conjunctions. So when we include the title of the article, make sure that we capitalize the keywords, okay, in the title, except of course the articles and conjunctions, unless prepositions, unless they come at the first part of the title. Okay, unlike in APA, the capitalization, the first word, the first letter is the only capitalized letter. The rest is up lowercase. Use italics for titles of larger works like books, magazines, and quotation marks for titles of shorter works like poems and articles. Okay, as what was shown to you a while ago. How do we do book? Okay, so same. Family name of the author, and the first name, put period, and then the hummingbird here is actually the book, so it must be an italicized, and then put period. Then McMurray is actually the publisher, and the 2019 is the year of the publication. Okay. Uh, Take note also that they also use this hanging indentation. Okay, hanging indentation in the last page or the works cited for modern language association. Okay, so family name of the author for two. This I think this is for two authors. So Gillespie and then Paula and Neil Lerner, the same. Okay, so the first author, family name first, the second author, first name first. Okay, that's the format. And then the title of the book in italicized, and then the publication, the publisher rather, and the year of the publication. For more than three authors, of course, you just get the first name of the author. So the first author, this one, the family name, and then the first name, and then you put et al., meaning to say among others. So it means that this book has more than three authors. Okay, so writing new media theory and application for expanding the teaching of composition, title of the book, and then the publisher, and then the year of the publication. For multiple authors, of course, this one, I think I've already discussed this. So first name, last name first, and then the second author, first name first. And then uh, italicize your title of the book, and Harpentine is actually the publisher, and then 2016 is the year of the publication. At all the same, okay, so multiple authors. For the magazine, same. Um, so we have the family name of the author, and then comma, and then the first name, then put period, and then the title of the article, okay, enclosed in quotation marks, and then you put period, and then Good Housekeeping is actually the name or the title of the magazine, italics, comma, and then the date of the publication. So this is March 2006, and the page number. So try to notice the page number. If it's more than one, it's if it's more than one page, you put PP and then period, and then 143 to 1 to 48. You don't copy the one anymore. So 143 to 48. It means 143 to 148, but you don't copy one here anymore. That's the format for the MLA in terms of presenting the page or the pages. If it's only one page, only one P. Okay? For example, page 143 only. So only one P. For the newspaper, so we have the title of rather the name of the author, the first name of the author, period, and then the fear of eating is actually the title of the article, enclosed in quotation marks, and then period. New York Times is the title of the newspaper, and then it's the latest edition, period, then comma, and then the date of the publication, and where is it located in page A1. So same, almost the same. Okay, all you need to do is to be familiarized, because the moment you get familiarized, it will be easier for you, like a piece of cake. How do we do website? Okay, so same, family name of the author, comma, and then the first name, full name of the first name, period, and then of course the enclosed in the quotation marks would be the title. Okay, title of the article from that particular website, and then Purdue University. This is the website I actually lifted, and then the date when it was uploaded, and then this is the URL. Remember, do not include the HTTP peer slash slash. You should start on www, and then the date when you access that particular information. Okay. What if there's no author or no title? If there's no author, no title, you may use this general information on New York Mets. Okay, so general information on comprehension skills, for example. Okay, if there's no author, no title, and then of course you put period, and then this one would be the source. Okay, and then the publisher. Yes, and then the uh, what we call the URL or the database, and then the date of when you access it. That's for the website. Most of us would be using website. For web magazine and social media. So what if the source comes from a web magazine or even social media like Twitter? So same, family name of the author, and then the full name, I rather the first name, and then the title of the article enclosed in quotation marks, and the title of the magazine, and then the date when it was published, and then the database or the URL, and then the date when you access it. Okay. For example, you got it from a Twitter. So, what's the name of that account? So, this is the name of the account, and then the tweet. What's the tweet? You copy it. You copy the tweet. Okay, and you try also to indicate when it was uploaded. Okay, and then the URL of that Twitter, and then the date when you access that particular tweet. Okay, so just to make sure that you're not committing plagiarism, okay, by following this format, okay, in case you decide to follow or to utilize the modern language association. Okay, for images is how you do it. Okay, for images, so there are indications here. So uh, Monet Cloud is the artist, and then the put period, and then the title of the work, which is in quotation marks, and then the date of the creation, okay, and then the medium or the version of that particular art, and then where is it actually located, where is it housed, okay, and of course the database and the URL where you actually found it or got it, and then of course the date when you access it. Because sometimes in module making, it's inevitable that we copy images to make the presentation more appealing. Okay, so I usually do this when I make modules. I left pictures and then just acknowledge that particular picture to the right source. I attribute it to the right source. Okay, that's for the images. Now let's go to the last citation, which is the American Psychological Association, the most commonly used citation, I think, in the Philippines, in most universities. Okay, um, this is encompassing of all field of specialization. Okay, so all courses could actually use APA, but technically it's on the onset when it was actually designed, first designed, it was only intended for sciences and psychology. But nowadays, any field of specialization could use the APA. Okay, so let me just give you a little background of what APA is and its origin. So it's founded in 1892. Okay, with 31 members, and it grew quickly after World War II. Today, it's it has 121,000 members, including researchers, educators, clinicians, consultants, and students as its members. Okay. On the onset, I said it was designed only for psychology, sciences, including maybe sociology and education. But now it's being used by even business, nursing, economics, linguistics, and even criminology. Okay, so it's actually uh, whatever field of specialization you're in, you're allowed to use the APA or the American Psychological Association. Let me lay down with you some basic rules for this particular citation. So you always make sure that it's double spaced, the citation, even the references. So it uses double space. And then hanging indentation, I said the first line is not indented, the rest of the lines are indented. We call it hanging indentation. And then when you formulate your references, it must be in alphabetical order, okay? And they're not supposed to be numbered, okay? Include editions of books, first edition, second edition, no, not first edition, or second edition, third, and so forth and so on, okay? Italics must be used for books and periodical titles, okay? And capitalize only the first word of the title. That's what I've told you about. The rest would be lowercase. Now, in terms of parenthetical documentation, and in-text citation, we have two types. So we have parenthetical citation and we have the narrative citation. So when we say parenthetical citation, usually this citation appears at the end of the copied information or paraphrase or summarized information. So that's why both are enclosed in parentheses. Okay, so the author's family name and the year of the publication. Okay, what's important in the year? What's important in APA is actually the year of the publication, because it focuses on science and technology. So the more recent your references are, the better. So if you have 2020, 2019, 2015, I think it's still good. But when you include here 1976, 1980, it's not a good idea anymore because it's already passé. Okay, it's an old information already. And APA would only highlight the latest information. That's why it highlights, or it focuses on the year of the publication. Okay, but you will find later in my examples there are still old um, dates. Okay, so parenthetical, they actually appear at the end of the citation, at the end of the copied or summarized or paraphrased idea. Both are actually enclosed in parentheses. Okay, so take note of the format. So family name of the author, and then comma, and then the year of the publication. If it's actually two authors, you don't put and. Okay, you don't put and if it's parenthetical citation, but you put ampersand. Ampersand Smith, ampersand Jones, 2020, enclosed in parentheses, and then period. And then if it's more than three authors, so Smith et al., and then the year of the publication. If it's organization, because sometimes you cannot find the author, you cannot find the title of the article, so you may mention the organization. As long as it's not plagiarized, as long as you're mentioning something that could be the basis, that could be the source of the particular information. And so, yeah, the same. When we talk about narrative citation, somehow this appears at the beginning of the citation. So that's why it has the verbs. So Smith, only the date of the publication, the year of the publication is enclosed in parentheses. So Smith 2020 noted that blah 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 blah. And remember this one, the narrative compared with the parenthetical. This one is ampersand, the parenthetical, this one is and in the narrative. So Smith and Jones 2020, sorry, 2020 affirmed that blah blah blah. Okay, if it's more than three or more authors, Smith et al., meaning among others, 2020 have posited that blah blah blah. Okay, or if it's for organization, Scribber 2020 asserted that blah blah blah. So whether you're right, whether you're using parenthetical citation or narrative citation, make sure that the format is correct. Both are allowed as long as the format is correct. Okay. In terms of tenses, sometimes we ask, what tense am I supposed to use in the in-text citation? Am I supposed to use present tense, past tense, or present perfect? Well, uh, usually, typically, you're allowed to use most of the time, uh, the the past tense and the present perfect. Okay, especially for literature review. Okay, whenever discussing other researchers' work for literature review, for example, in your chapter, if you're doing research, uh, we prefer to use we opt to use either past or present perfect. So you say Martin 2020 addressed that, or you say uh, researchers have studied that, etc. So that's how you decide on the verb. You may also use present tense, especially when you discuss the implication of the previous statements. Okay, just like the one I said a while ago, according to Rabia, Mateo Rabia notes. Okay, because I'm trying to show the implication of the impact of the statement. So the results of the study of Perez indicate that. So it's present tense. Okay, the findings of the study of Perez. Nasaan na yun? Nawala yung ano. Okay. So, in the use of tenses, try to decide if it's something literature review, or you're trying to discuss the work of other researchers or their findings in the past, you may use past or present perfect. If you want to indicate, if you want to show the implication of that particular finding or the implication of that particular statement in the present time, you may use present tense. Okay, so here's an example of in-text citation. This is parenthetical citation. Okay, so this talks about 21st century skills. Apparently, these subjects and skills enable students to thrive in a world where change is constant and learning never stops, and prepare them for jobs and technologies that don't yet exist in order to solve problems that people don't even know are problems yet. So it's from Trilling and Faidel 2009. So this is ampersand because this is in the parenthetical citation. And remember, the period is after it. So basically, this is paraphrased or summarized because there's no quotation marks. Here's another one. This one is in-text citation, narrative citation, because the citation appears at the beginning. So maybe no author was found, or maybe no article was found. So the writer decided to put the whole what do you call this, the magazine. Okay, so Time Magazine 2006 warned that this entire generation of kids will most likely to fail to make the grade in the global economy because they can't think their way through abstract problems, work in teams, distinguish good communication information from bad, or speak a language other than their own. Okay, this is quote rather. So because there's a quotation, so that's from Time Magazine 2006. Okay, so this talks about the 21st century skills of students. This one is has uh, what do you call this? Three or more authors. So we use et al. So first name, first author in the list. So et al. And then uh, 2007, the year of the publication, affirmed that teachers of primary schools have more positive attitudes towards introducing human rights and civic education in teaching curriculum than teachers belonging to higher education. Uh, this is civic literacy, okay, or civil literacy, okay. For quotation, uh, some books, some references would include the page number. It's also allowed. So one study found that the listener's familiarity with the topic of discourse facilitates interpretation of the entire messages. So this is copied verbatim, and when you do so, okay, you try to the author try to indicate the author's name, family name, and then the year of the publication, and then the page number where you got it, especially if it's copied verbatim or a quotation. Okay. Same if it's found in more than one pages, you may use PP and the pages. Okay. What if there's no page? You got it from the internet and there's no page. So you may use the paragraph. Okay. So paragraph number 2 or paragraph 2 to 3, something like that. It's paragraph 2 to 3 with S, paragraphs 2 to 3. Okay. That's for quotation. For web page with no author, name of the author and then the date of the publication and then put period. It's with no author. No, with author. Sorry. This is with author. With no author, you may copy the title of the article. Not if it's too long, not all, only the keywords. Okay? The keywords in that particular title and you put here and then the year of the publication. With no date, of course, you put ND. So the title of I rather the name of the author, and then you put ND if there's no date available. Okay, or the title of the article. Okay, for other sources, this is actually sparingly done. So, for example, Lord 1980 as cited in Michelle 2017. So this is allowed, especially if you copied from a particular source that was also copied from another source. So you may do this. Lord 1980 as cited in Michelle 2017. Oh Lord, this is parenthetical citation. This one is narrative citation. Okay, I hope you're getting my point. Let's go to the reference page, APA style. So if we're using reference, if you're using APA, the last page is references. Okay, so remember the CMS. If you're using CMS, the last page is bibliography. If you're using MLA, the last page is entitled Works Cited. If you're using APA, the last page is entitled References. Now, it's supposed to be alphabetically. So I enlisted your the website first because most of us would be getting our sources from website. So make sure that when you present them, it's alphabetized. Okay. So the same name of the author, and then this time you're not supposed to spell out the first name of the author, only the initial of the first name, and then put period. Okay, and then the date of the publication or the year of the publication, then put period, and then the title of the article copied. So if you've noticed, only the first letter is capitalized, the rest of the letters are in lowercase. Put period, and then you put retrieved from, and the whole URL. Okay, uh, the whole URL. Okay, this is association. Okay, maybe there's no name of the author. Association. This is almost the same format. This one has no date, so Barry, and then the initial of the first name, period, and then ND, so no date. Entrepreneurs, a bold brand of teacher leaders in italicized and retrieved from. Okay, for book, if the if you have mentioned the in-text citation from a book, so the complete publication information must appear here in the reference page. So the format would be the author's family name, and then the first initial, the initial of the first name, and then put period, and then the date of the publication, the year of the publication, put period, and then the title of the article in italics. You try to indicate the edition if it has. If none, no need. And then the place of the publication, and then the publisher. That's it. That's for the book. For the newspaper, uh, of course, the first name of the author, rather the last name of the author, comma, and then the initial of the first name, period, and then the date must be complete for a newspaper article. So the year, the month, and the day. And then the title of the article, remember, only the first letter is capitalized. The rest are in lowercase. But for the newspaper title, you have to capitalize the all the major words except prepositions, conjunctions, and of course the page number. Okay. What if you got it from thesis or dissertation, or maybe a master's degree thesis or the like? So again, you get the family name of the author, and then the initial of the first name, and then the year of the publication, and then the title of the study of the dissertation or thesis, and then try to indicate if it's a doctoral dissertation or master's degree thesis, and then the publisher. Okay, that's it. What if it's image or picture or photography? Again, the name, the honor of that particular work of art. So family name, and then the initial of the first name, and then the year of the publication, period, and then the very work. Only the first letter is capitalized, and then you indicate if it's a photograph in a square bracket. If it's a photograph, it's an image. If it's a video or blah blah blah, and then retrieve from, and then the whole URL. Okay, that's for the image and picture or photography. Okay, so according to Ryan Holiday, writing the perfect paper is not like a military operation. It takes discipline, foresight, research, strategy, and if done right, ends in total victory. In military, they have what we call the ace in a hole. Ace in a hole is a kind of strategy that is tested and proven to be very effective. That's why they keep on repeating it in all their operations. So just like in writing, we should have the ace in a hole, wherein we could use it over and over again in a writing for it to be effective and for it to be substantial as well. So you need to have discipline. Okay, you need to have foresight. uh, you need to have foresight as a writer. I remember a controversy in a module making, like I don't know if you've used some names like Janjalani, Maluwang, Ray Pinyoko, and all those. Well, you should have the foresight. You should have thought. Okay, you should have thought of the consequences or the implications in the future if you're gonna include those names, because these names have actually double meaning. And so it's important for a writer to have the foresight, okay, to foresee. You should have the discipline, okay, in terms of citation maybe or referencing. You have to have discipline because it's so technical in nature. You have to memorize it. You have to be familiarized with it, and then you should have the apt or the skill. The research skills is very important, and of course, it's important that you have the information literacy. You're supposed to be information literate, okay, because we have mountains of information before us. So we have to make sure that they become meaningful to us. Imagine when you type in the internet health and wellness, the internet will give you around 315 million websites. So imagine the bulk of information, the mountain of information before us. And as a writer, of course, we should have information literacy for those information to be meaningful to us and to our readers. Okay? You're supposed to have the strategy. Okay? How do you strategize? You should work intelligent, you should work smart, you don't work hard. Okay? So strategize your process, you strategize your routine. And if done right, if you do this well, you will be given the best accolade, the best citation, okay, which is the Philippines modern hero. Okay. According to Pablo Picasso, learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. Okay. I hope you're getting the point here. Uh, and with that, okay, thank you for listening. I think have covered all the things that I needed to discuss with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.